So I did. Well, apparently I can't take notes, but that's good because when do we ever plan things here? Usually our best stuff is the most unplanned stuff. Because I really enjoyed our little game last week.
It was good fun, to be honest.
Yeah, it was good
Bet
fun.
it was a bitch to edit.
Oh, you have no idea. The extended cut available for our members only is about 15 minutes longer. There's that much stuff that had to get cut out of it. And even in the members one, there's stuff that I couldn't even leave in that good faith. If you do want to sign up to our members tiers, you can do. You get stuff like early access, extended edits. The extended edits actually go out first, so you can get an extended edit, and then you can get early access to the public version before any of the not we see it. What else do we do? Commission videos if you go for the highest tier. We do an exclusive podcast a month, which is basically just me and Tom
Rambling.
chatting. Just completely unplanned, unscripted. We just turn on record and just see what comes out of our mouth. Try and link it to Doctor Who. Last month we did a whole 10 minutes on sandwiches. So
Yeah, that was interesting.
I like sandwiches. But do you know what else I like? Boomtown, written by Russell T Davies, directed by Joe Ahern, and broadcast on the 4th of June 2005.
Yeah, not 2024, as you've so elegantly written down.
Say the word elegantly again, and I'll take that criticism seriously.
Elegantly. I was struggling with my words today, leave me be.
You're trying to point out the flaws in the plan. They can't see this. You're making me look like an amateur. I mean, I am, but that's not the point. So long story short, I forgot we were filming today because I'm a terrible friend and a terrible YouTuber and just not very good at planning things. It's been a bit of a busy couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's all it is. It's easy for things to fall by the wayside when it's that busy.
Yeah, it's just funny that you phoned me and I was literally in the gym and you were like, I'm on your way to your house. And I was like, why?
Yeah, you've gone to the gym and I rocked up with a kebab.
I mean, I would have loved to have swapped, honestly. I would have loved that. I had a couple of chips. It was very nice.
I can still see my toesies.
Well, that's the main thing. It's actually because Tom's got 6-inch long toes. It's mad. like a
You know
dog.
what they say about that? Big socks.
You'd have to be.
Yeah.
You'd have to have quite big socks for that. So yeah, we just decided to pick a random episode off the old randomizer, and it's given us Boomtown. What do you think of Boomtown, Tom?
I think it's a very fun episode of Christopher Eccleston's run. It's a lot more light-hearted compared to what it's typically found in his series. It tends to be a bit of a darker, dealing with the post-war trauma side of the Doctor, and him just working his way through all of that with Rose and Jack. But this is just where you can just see they're really having a good time. Everything seems to flow really well, and I even think they do justice for the Slitheen in this as well.
I couldn't agree more. I think this episode does a perfect balance of having quite a humorous first half. I mean, the scene where they're in the council building and they're chasing Margaret and she's climbing out the window, isn't she? Yes, she is, yeah. And that's hilarious. It's like laugh out loud funny. And then, within the next half hour, there's sort of they're sitting down to dinner and talking about the sort of morality of the death penalty. And, I think it really does well for the Doctor because he has that stuff in the restaurant where he's being all jokey and like, oh, steak and chips and all very bouncy because it's there to hide the fact that, Margaret can see into him. And she knows, she says stuff like, only a killer would know that, and it's a very interesting look at the both of them as, it's not like the Doctor's morally, the absolute star, and it's not like Margaret's completely evil. I mean, she is evil. But, she talks about how she gave that woman a chance because she was pregnant, she missed her family and everything. And, one of the best lines of the episode is when the Doctor says, you're pleading for mercy from a dead woman's lips. That's really good dialogue. You wouldn't think it was written by the man that wrote Empire of Death, but there we are. Not over it. Still not over it.
Yeah, no.
Not going to be.
Nope.
Don't see why I should be.
Still better than The Timeless Child, though.
Yeah, but still, do better.
Yes, please.
Not that you're watching this, Russell. I do love you. Please, just give me a job if you want. I'll do anything. I'll make the tea.
Please do better.
I'll hold the coats. I don't care. So I think, like you said, the first half is so good because the dynamic, even though Jack only joins in the episode before, that dynamic feels very established. You can tell that these three have been travelling together for a while now. There is that, they don't explicitly say, oh, I've been on the TARDIS for 2 years or anything. It's not that much of a jump, but you can tell that dynamic is really set.
Yeah.
There's a lot of camaraderie between them. I think Jack and the Ninth Doctor, you were saying this actually before, that Jack and the Ninth Doctor almost work better than Jack and the 10th Doctor.
I mean, we didn't really get a lot of Jack and the 10th Doctor. It was more, you had that three-parter at the end of series 3, Sound of Drums, Utopia, and Last of the Time Lords, and then you see him crop up in Stolen Earth and Journey's End
Yeah.
as well. And I mean, he was fun in that, but I mean, I guess it's just down to the fact that he had a bit more time with Christopher Eccleston, I would say, on camera, and they obviously had adventures off screen together as well.
Yeah.
You didn't get that with David Tennant's Doctor, because he just shows up in Utopia when he's landed in Cardiff, clings to the side of the TARDIS, and then he has that story, and then buggers off to sort out Torchwood.
Yeah, I think it does. I think it does work because you've got the idea of Jack being this sort of like handsome rogue from the future. He's not afraid to do the sort of quite questionable things, whereas the Doctor's trying to sort of make up for his past mistakes, and Jack is almost a reflection of like, this could be you, but it's not, because you've got all of this sort of baggage that's touched on later on in the restaurant. Then I just think the whole episode blends together very well. And like I said, it's really funny in parts. And like you said, with the Slitheen, I think giving Margaret and just giving a focus to one of the Slitheen family and really looking at it as a character piece rather than being, oh, look at the farting aliens, ha ha ha.
Yeah.
Which, you know, I still think that Aliens of London and World War III is quite underrated. I think people give it a bit of unnecessary slack. But like with this episode in particular, and just having a character focus, I think it really works, especially for the Ninth Doctor as well. I don't think this would have worked as well with other Doctors. It's one of those stories where you can't really imagine it, sort of like you can't really imagine the 11th. I mean, you could.
No, yeah, but he seems a bit
well.
too jokey and fun. I mean, later on, maybe end the series, the second half of series 7, maybe that Doctor, that version of 11th you could see. But I think it works better with, obviously, with the Doctor just being fresh from the Time War. He's not had long to really deal with all of what he's done. He's still trying to make amends for it all at this point.
Yeah.
And fearful of something else going that sort of way. And I don't think this episode would have worked with another Doctor in the role.
It would have done on paper, but I don't think it would have been as satisfying, the character elements to it. I mean, I think, you know, you could put the 11th Doctor in there and it still works, but like because this, like you said, because this Doctor's so fresh from the Time War, it gives it that sort of layer of like, they're more similar than you actually think in terms of like, you know, the Doctor talks like Blonde brings up the idea of the Doctor being her executioner essentially, because he knows that he's taking her back to his death and he still chooses to do so because he says, well, I don't make the laws, which is a very interesting aspect that, you know, doesn't get touched on a lot in Doctor Who, because, you know, the Doctor does all these things and he saves them, but is he really doing the right thing? Because, you know, sometimes people end up in worse situations and just being outright killed.
Yeah, I mean, as was touched on in this, the death penalty involves being boiled in a vat of acid. So your skin's stripped away, but all your organs are leaking out into a sort of soup, and you're still alive.
Good soup.
So the detail they go into it in this, and I think they do a good job as well in making Blonde very likable during this bit where she's just trying to get her life back.
Yeah, she's just begging for her life.
Yeah, and she's very likable. You feel a lot of sympathy for her. Especially in the restaurant as well, even after trying to assassinate the Doctor in some funny ways. But you do get a bit of sympathy for her before she goes and does what she does at the end.
Yeah, I think aside from the sort of regular cast, I think Annette Badland is really sort of head and shoulders highlight of Series 1 for me. I think Annette Badland's brilliant in pretty much anything, and she's been in loads of stuff. I think she's especially good in Ted Lasso. She is there's the sweary barmaid, I can't remember her name.
Nobody.
But she's so funny in that. But in this, she's got a real sort of, she brings a real depth to what is quite a stock alien character, really. It's we're an alien race, we're going to conquer the planet, sell it because we want to do this for money, we're all evil. And then you look at this and it's like, oh, there's a lot more to this than actually meets the eye. And there's, you know, again, Annette Badland does the range of sort of the heartfelt stuff, but also nails the sort of comedy aspect of it as well, because the scene where she's talking to Kathy, the journalist, and she's going through all these like wild deaths that they've like all these people involved with this nuclear project that she's trying to get off the ground, and she's doing, you know, she says that he slipped on an icy patch, he was decapitated, it was a very icy patch. like it's stuff like that is really good because it's bleak but it's very funny.
Yeah.
You know, it's like my car simply couldn't stop and all of that. It's like, not my fault. All the danger bombs was written in Welsh or something. I do like the fact that this is set in Cardiff as well. It's quite nice.
Yeah.
I think we should have more Doctor Who set in Wales, to be fair, because they're always turning out to be good ones. I don't think there's a bad story set in Wales in Doctor Who.
And it's nice seeing like the change in this TV as well as the different areas, because we were looking back at Cardiff Bay in this one
Yeah,
from
none
when
of
we
those
were
places
there.
are there.
Yeah, so much has changed from down there. There's not a big crack in the middle of that amphitheatre bit anymore. That got
No, that wasn't real. That was the program. Remember, this is not. It's not real life. It's a TV program.
Gonna cry now.
It's
Cry
quite funny
myself to
because there's
sleep.
one point where Rose and Mickey are walking and they stood right outside what is now Yanto's shrine, which I find quite funny, and in universe at that point would have been the front doors to Torchwood,
Yeah,
which no one knows about at the time. Like they're parked slap bang on top, and Jack will be underneath there at the minute.
yeah. So he's not going to say anything.
Yeah, so because obviously like Jack's obviously hiding away because he knows that at this point his younger self is there, and I think it's quite funny. Just in retrospect.
Timelines cross, paradoxes and stuff.
Yeah. I think the Rose and Mickey stuff is very much that needed to be done as well.
Yeah, they handled this relationship very well in this series. I think it's if they're going to do a relationship piece where one goes with the Doctor and the other stays behind, this is kind of the blueprint for it.
Yeah.
Because you got the emotional trauma of being left behind for another man for Mickey as well, and then trying to move on with your life. And then it's like a flick of a switch. She comes back, boom, he's there. Like, and then him finally snapping at the end and saying, "Oh, you're never there. You're always with him. What am I supposed to do? I got to live my own life," sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's something that was needed and I felt a long time coming.
Yeah, I think there is I think you can be on either side of this sort of argument. Did Rose treat Mickey badly, or did Mickey treat Rose badly? Like Mickey was a bit of a weirdo, you know. But Rose also did, like you said, fly off with a complete stranger, leave him without so much of an explanation so that he gets questioned for murder, multiple times, and he still comes running back to her, and she sort of is basically using him and whatever, and sort of I think she does care about him, but not enough. And I think
not in that way anymore.
Yeah, and this is I think the definitive point then where they're not a couple anymore because Mickey was always referred to as Rose's boyfriend and everything, but that stops in this episode.
Yeah.
From now on, they're peers, they're friends, but there is that imbalance, and I think how well the other three work together just highlights how out of the loop Mickey is, especially near the start. Where he's sort of very much not like he's the odd one out by a mile, and you can see that. And it's good performances from both of them as well. I mean, Noel Clarke is an arsehole, but
acting, classiness.
Yeah, and same with everyone. I don't think there's any sort of. I mean, there's not a huge deal of cast members to look at really, apart from Annette Badland as Blonde. But that's what I think makes it so good because it is so character focused. And Jack doesn't really get that much to do in this really, especially sort of the second half because he's just sort of in the TARDIS being there.
Yeah, he does a good job with what he gets in the first half.
Yeah.
Like he's quite just rattling off a plan, and the Doctor's there like, "Oh, excuse me, who's in charge?" And he's like, "Oh, anyway, as I said, good plan, and crack on."
Yeah,
like,
considering Eccleston always criticised his how he handled the comedic stuff, I think he's so wrong because I think he does it perfectly.
Yeah, he does it brilliantly, and it's sort of like that blunt face really kind of helped quite a bit as well.
Yeah.
Just keeping a straight face while he's doing it. Just Tennant, you can see him trying not to laugh at times. With some of it, Matt Smith, he just was laughing. I think Capaldi didn't really smile.
And that was Doctor Who seasons 2 to 10 explained in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it does. I mean, it does work, and the idea of the sort of War-Torn Doctor having a bit of a laugh and him gradually getting more and more fun only sort of makes me miss the fact that we only got the one series with Eccleston and how much more I'd have loved to have seen him on telly, and I'd love maybe it'll happen. Maybe it'll happen one day, but I don't think it will. But it would be. I think it's good in the sense that he doesn't have leave you wanting more fair play.
Yeah, I do feel another series with him would have been good, but I understand his reasons for leaving.
Yeah, I mean, totally get it. Like, the struggles he was having at the time, absolutely fair enough. There is just a part of me that goes, God, can you just imagine if we had 3 or 4 seasons with Eccleston? Not saying that I wouldn't have wanted David Tennant or Matt Smith or whatever, or how I think the show did great after him as well. But there is that part where, especially we watched Series 1, because it's like Series 1's, I think, that, and it's between Series 1 and Series 4 on the day, which is my favourite series of Doctor Who. It's between those two. Nothing else has come close to that yet.
No, and I always find myself going back for a rewatch with starting with series 1, and then I always forget. Christ, this was really good. Like there's a couple of meh episodes, like the long game was a bit crap.
But even that sets up the finale. I think there's because the good thing with series 1 is it all feels so. Even though it's not necessarily like there's not so much of a series arc like you get in later series and stuff. It is the sort of Russell T Davies. Oh, there's this thing and it keeps happening. But the fact that every episode in series 1 has some kind of significance. You know, obviously episode 1 speaks for itself. Then End of the World, you get the sort of explanation of like the translation circuits and it's Rose sort of clashing with the Doctor for the first time. Unquiet Dead sets up the rift. The Celine two-part sets this up. Dalek speaks for itself. Long Game sets up the finale. Father's Day sets up stuff for series 2. Empty Child introduces Jack. Then you get this as a payoff, but this also sets up the finale as well because this could be quite a crappy ending on its own. Oh, she looked at the TARDIS and now she's an egg. She could start again. It's very much like what Russell T Davies would do now.
Yeah.
But this has payoff because you get this introduced. So when it happens in Parting of the Ways, it's not so much of a Deus Ex Machina because it's something that's been established. Like it still is.
Yeah, and it's like they touch on it again.
Yeah.
They go straight back to it in
Parting of the Ways?
No, the part before Bad Wolf. You see the Doctor just recounting his, trying to retrace his steps effectively, saying, "Oh, we're just coming back from Rexicorical Falapatorius."
Rexicorical Falapatorius.
Yeah.
That was a bit cringe, that bit.
Yeah.
Like, they were a little bit too excited, the fact that Rose had pronounced the planet, like, oh my god, it's like...
I'm not a numpty.
Oh dear, Tom's doing voices again, this could get serious.
We're gonna stop there. But, like, you see them touch on that straight away, and then, like, they talk about the big light pulling them out into the game studio.
Yeah.
And they got selected. But it's nice to see that everything sort of works together in that series really well.
Yeah, it's very cohesive. It's one of the most cohesive series Doctor Who's ever done, by a mile. Because everything is important in some way. It might not necessarily be this series, but within the next couple of years, something is going to get, the payoff it needs. So it all works quite well. And, even this is where the extrapolator comes from, which is a bit of a plot point in the last episode with the shields and everything.
Yeah.
So it's still, and the extrapolator comes back a couple of times as well, like it's used in The Runaway Bride, for example. Like it's still, all of the pieces fit together, and that's why I think that the reason that this era, the first RTD era, is my favourite is not just because of the rose-tinted glasses, because you can absolutely make an argument for that, but there's nothing as well crafted in Doctor Who since then.
No.
For me. Because there's some stuff in Moffat's, where sort of, things hint and they get paid off later on and everything, but quite a lot of time it feels rushed. It doesn't feel like this is a plan. It just feels like it's happened.
Yeah, I think, as you said, Series 4 is probably, in terms of... what was the word we used?
Quality?
Oh, yeah. No, yeah, we'll go with quality. It wasn't that one, but we'll go with quality.
Just guessing.
In terms of quality, Series 4 was probably the only thing on par with Series 1.
For me, yeah.
In terms
100%.
of quality of episodes throughout the series. Series 2 had some really good ones, but Christ, there were some duds. Same
thing with Series 3.
Series 3.
I think Series 3 has got some episodes which are some of the best Doctor Who, some of the best television that's ever been made, but then it also has stuff like the Lazarus Experiment and that bloody Dalek nonsense in New York.
Yeah.
So
it's alright, Series 2 has Fear Her that you can't watch at the moment on BBC iPlayer.
One thing I did notice that was quite funny, there's definitely a line fluff from Noel Clarke that felt something that was straight out of Doctor Who, because when he's on about it, he fluffs it, he was like, you made me run away, and you feel like I was nothing, and it's like, that's not a deliberate acting choice. That was a man who forgot his lines, and they just were like, yeah, we'll use that take.
Well, it worked, because it showed the distress he was in at the time, that he couldn't get his words out, because he was just so angry. It kind of works from that point.
Yeah, but you could tell it's not a deliberate choice at all.
It's
a happy accident.
Yeah.
But it was very reminiscent of like early Doctor Who, where people would flub lines and they'd just be like, okay, anyway.
William Hartnell was...
anti-radiation gloves. If you'd been wearing her shoes, you could have given her hers, or whatever he said in Keys of Mariners.
Yeah.
So I think overall this episode does balance the fun and the... there's more serious stuff quite well. It doesn't feel like tonal whiplash like you get in some episodes. You know, I
Yeah.
think it just about finds the right balance, and it gradually, like, it's not just like funny, 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 funny. Oh my God, the death penalty. It's like funny, 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 bit serious, funny. Oh, death penalty. It works. I don't know how to explain it better than that.
Yeah, the humour's littered well in this episode, just to lighten the mood when it's been quite serious. It's just like, just to bring you up a little bit, to keep you entwined, because the last thing you want is for it to get really preachy
Yeah.
with the morality of the death penalty and stuff.
It feels natural, like in the conversation. Like, obviously, you know, not many people would sit down like this, but then I can't say I've ever sat down with an alien for dinner. I don't really have a lot more to say on this one. I mean, I think it's great. I think it's quite underrated.
Oh, I remember. Sorry. Jesus.
What?
I remember. No, I was just saying.
I don't know what's happening anymore.
Pissed the bed, now you nearly shit yourself. Fuck me. What a week.
Like, they don't need to know everything, right? Just because they're giving me money, they don't need to know everything.
No, some people would skip this. The only plot point you need to take is the extrapolator from it, really, and the mention of bad wolf in Welsh.
Bathe drwg.
Yeah. So that's the only real take home in terms of series plot that you need from this. But it's just such a fun episode.
It is.
We were watching that today. I was like, oh, I forgot this is bloody brilliant.
It's funny. It's genuinely funny in parts, and then it does like a very good switch. But like I said before, it doesn't feel unnatural either. So
No.
yeah, if you haven't watched this one in a while, go give it a look. Tom's really wants to play with my new sonic screwdriver.
And that is a euphemism. Yeah, we got the new. Well, Will got the new one. It does a lot of cool things. Definitely should get it. We're not advertised, but please, who made this?
Character.
Please, character, get in touch because we'd love to advertise your stuff because this is cool. Sponsor us.
We're not begging.
No, we're not. I just want more sonic screwdrivers. So if you like this current video, please go and hit another one right here. There-ish. And please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. We really do appreciate it. And a big shout out to our current members. We really do appreciate you. This money's going to go to improving all this.
I found that cream you were looking for, but I have used quite a lot of it already.
What's wrong with your ass?
You don't want to... Are you filming?
Yeah. That's
Right, then when you're filming without me too, you're talking about the Piles cream.
Yeah. We don't need to broadcast that.
You're the one filming.
Shit.
Forget it, it's not Pile cream, it's just deluxe toothpaste. As you were.
Fuck.